Welcome to the tutorial on Nearpod. You may be wondering, what is Nearpod? This is a program that is free that we're going to use so that you can gain information about this course. So we're going to begin with where we find things on Canvas. We're going to go to Modules. Then, just so that you can see, I have all kinds of tutorials listed here that are going to be found within the first, what we call orientation Nearpod. And those will open after the first week of classes. In other words, you will be able to access those the rest of the semester, but all of them are in the orientation Nearpod. So your first real assignment in the course is to complete the orientation Nearpod. This will contain a variety of videos and narrations by me walking you through how to successfully complete each type of assignment in this course. This is going to provide information for all of the assignments. So if you skip this, A, you're going to lose 10 points, and B, you're going to have lots of questions and difficulty. So once you've done that, we're going to look at the first Nearpod. So we're going to scroll down, and the Nearpods usually have this little film icon by them and the word Nearpod. So we're going to click on. So you're going to click on the Nearpod, then click on the link, and it's going to ask you to sign in. You're going to sign in, I know that went back fast, using the Microsoft option, and you're going to use your ICC email. It's at icc.edu, not your Gmail, not your personal Gmail, but you're at icc.edu. Fill your name and then click yes to continue. So this is the instructions for this particular Nearpod. There are going to be 3 videos, one over the syllabus, one over lecture, and one over lab. You should listen to each one, answer the questions, and then move on to the next slide. To get full credit, all embedded activities should be completed. This one is fairly lengthy because it includes all of the different types of assignments that you'll be looking at this semester. To click on the right to advance to the next slide. So let's look at some information about Nearpod in general. If the slide is narrated, you'll see an arrow and the length of the narration will appear at the bottom of the slide. So this particular slide has not been narrated. You should listen to each slide and fill in the corresponding lecture notes or Nearpod notes. This is similar to attending lecture in person. You can start and stop as many times as you would like. However, you must use the same computer and same browser. Otherwise, it will ask you to start over. So in other words, if you want to save your progress, you have to use the same computer and the same browser. In order to get full credit, you must answer all of the questions that are embedded. So for just a moment, I'm back on Canvas to show you where those Nearpod's notes are. They're under the lecture and lab resources. You're going to click on the link, and you're going to see some notes. So as you continue to click through the notes, what you're going to notice is that there are blanks. Now, different classes are going to have different topics. So I teach microbiology, I teach anatomy and physiology, and general biology. So depending on the course, these notes are going to look a little different. But what's not going to be different is there's going to be blanks, and you're going to find the answers to those blanks in the Nearpod. So I suggest you either print out these notes and fill them in by hand, because that's an active learner, or you can type in the answers. This is what you need to study for quizzes and exams. So these notes are very, very important. This is similar to attending class in person. So here I am in the Nearpod, and you're going to see the answer to that missing blank. So they're going to be bolded and highlighted so that you know that's the part you need to fill in. This is also an example of a slide with narration. So at the bottom you see an arrow, and then you see 1 minute and 16 seconds. So I'm not going to play all of it, but just so that you know it's narrated. The title of this course. So you should listen to each narrated slide. Again, this is similar to being in an in-person course. So how do you earn points for the Nearpod? Each Nearpod is graded, and I will deduct 0.1 for each incorrect answer. That is because Nearpod allows you to go back and change your answers if it's incorrect for those multiple choice type questions, which I will show you in a few minutes. You must have 100% completion and correct answers to receive full credit. And since I have to manually grade the Nearpods, you won't see a grade immediately. In other words, just be patient, and typically within a few days of your submission, I will have them graded. So what are some of the activities that are located within the Nearpod that you must complete? There are multiple choice questions. And again, you can go back and change your answers. It will show you the correct answer. There are open-ended questions. They're what we call click and drag. There are matching, which you're just going to click on the boxes to match the pairs. And then there are videos that have blue dots, which indicates a question in which you will answer the question. So here's an example of a video embedded into the Nearpod activity or assignment. So just like before, if there's an arrow, you're going to want to listen to the narration. And you can also put on the closed captioning if that works for you.
Is often used.
So you listen to all of it, and then when you get to the blue dots, and I do not recommend just fast forwarding the blue dots. You should listen to the whole thing. There will be a question. So this is an open-ended question. So what is the first step in the scientific method? So you'd write observations, click submit, and then I will see that. So this is continue playing.
Date. They tend to lose their potency.
So again, we're going to continue.
Contribution of a single variable, in this case the SPF value,
so here
to the
comes
observation.
Another blue dot, which means another question. So this one is a multiple choice question. So I'm going to choose this answer. By the way, it's not correct. I'm going to click submit, and it's going to immediately show me that I didn't get it right, but here is the correct answer. I don't want you to learn wrong answers, so you need to learn the right answers. So again, I'm going to take off 0.1 for each incorrect answer because I can move this cursor back just a little bit and get that question again. I can change my answer. And now I have it correct, and I'm going to see this correct on my end. Hit play and go to the next question. So that's how you complete a video activity. So we're going to keep going. Again, we're going to keep clicking this arrow on the right until I get to another activity. Here's an open-ended question, so I need to answer that. So what is the purpose of the scientific method? You're going to type in your answer, and you're going to click submit. Click on the arrow on the right. Keep going. So this is an example of a drag and drop question. What you're going to see are the choices on the left, and then where you're going to place the choices in the middle of the screen. So they're going to go in the little boxes, and it's going to look different depending on what kind of question it is. So for this one, the instructions are at the top. It says drag the steps of the scientific method into the correct order. Now before you do anything, let's talk about drag and drops. You cannot skip them and come back. If you skip them, Nearpod will not let you go back and redo them. And if you put in the wrong things in the wrong place, it will not let you go back and correct it. So you can take a moment, because again, this is untimed, you can use your notes to make sure that things are really where you want them before you click submit. So you're going to put things in the right places by just dragging. For example, we're going to start with observations and put them in the right place. And when you're all done, you would click submit. And I'm going to get rid of that part. The submit it at the bottom. And then it will give you the green check marks if they're correct. Now, if something's incorrect, it would give a red X. And that's okay if you get, a little bit incorrect, but you have to have a good, valid attempt. And then you would just go to the next slide. What's called a drag and drop. So for this one, we're going to do exactly what it says. And by the way, the instructions are up here. So, and there is a little typo. I've got two of the same one, which I need to get rid of. So you're going to put these in the right order. So let's see, observation, And I'm purposely putting them not all in the right order, by the way. So you will need to look at your notes. Okay, so results is not going to be last. You would put them in the right order and again, click submit. This is untimed, so use your notes. Go back and listen to the video or me again. So make sure you get those correct. Once you think you're right, we're going to continue. Keep filling in those notes using the highlighted and bolded words. Keep listening to each slide. Again, that's me narrating. So I have created all of these slides. So I will provide analogies and helpful hints if you listen to each slide. So then we're going to get to another activity. This is called a matching. So you're going to literally just click on the pairs. If they're correct, they'll light up green. If they're incorrect, then they'll light up red. And again, it allows you to go back and change your answers. Do all of them, which I'm not going to do, and then you're going to keep going until you get towards the end. So we've got more filling in notes, more matching. Complete every single activity to get your points. Then we get to a multiple choice question. So, which step in the scientific method creates graphs? Again, I'm going to purposely get it wrong. I'm going to click submit in the bottom right corner. So how do you actually know when your Nearpod is over? Two things are going to happen. Over here on the arrow that we've been clicking on the right, it's gone because we're all done. And you're going to see the slide that says tap to start over, which means we are all done. If you're not sure, you can go down here to the bottom where it says Open Notes Navigator, and you can toggle back and forth and make sure you saw every slide and you did every activity. So let's see how else we can confirm that we got all of our. So we'll know when we're done when it says tap to start over, when we look at the navigation at the bottom, and you can check your grades for completion. Now here's where you get a little confused. Anytime you click on a Nearpod in Canvas, it's going to say submitted. So if you did nothing, you just clicked on it and clicked back out, Canvas is going to say completed. And then you're going to panic and go, I didn't do anything. I don't want to lose points. It's fine. You can go back in as many times as you need to before the due date and complete it. So I'm going to show you how to know if you actually completed it on the Canvas site. The other thing to note is I want you to use Nearpod as your primary study resource. So the due date is come and gone, you did it on time, you got your points, but now you want to use it for an exam, and you go back and click on the Nearpod. Canvas is going to flag it as late. It's not late. So as long as you did it before the due date, which I have the due date stamped on my end, you're fine. So disregard the late notice and don't panic. You're going to get all your points. In fact, it'll probably already be graded. So you're all done with your Nearpod. And you're like, all right, I got this. Or maybe you're like, I don't know if I even did it. I don't know if it submitted it because it's not going to say submitted clearly. So you're like, I don't know. What's my grade? So you're going to go to grades. And remember, I have to grade them. So if you have just finished it 10 seconds ago, there's not going to be a grade. But you can see how much you've completed. So if you're not sure if you completed it, or if you're not sure if it was submitted, you're going to click on the actual assignment and grades. So go to grades, click on the name of the assignment, which is, this is Nearpod. And it will take just a few minutes to load what's called a report. This is exactly what I see. So if you start to scroll down, it says 69% overall participation. Well, you got to get to 100, so it's not done. So here's where you can see what you didn't do. So I didn't do this first question, I didn't do the third question, so that you can go back in before that due date and you can finish it. If you don't do that, then you're going to get this comment from me that says it's only 69% completed. So let's go back to grades for 1 second. And if you didn't finish it before the due date, you did not, I'm going to grade it based on the completion. So I only completed a little bit, so you're going to get a little bit of points. I put a comment here. This is the feedback. I also do this if you're in class with lab photos. I do this. So here's the feedback of why you didn't get all your points. And again, if I did this after the due date, it would show late. But let's just say I'm using it for review. It says late status. Don't stress about that if you did it by the due date. Hopefully that's helpful. Nearpod is the #1 thing you need to know how to use for this semester.